know what I find weird? Throughout all the countdowns I've made, there hasn't been any boss countdowns. Strange, isn't it? Well, it's about time I made one. For this list, there are two things to note. The entries can only be from bosses that I have faced, and no final bosses.
Why not?
Because I already got a top 20 planned for that category. With that said,
Let's go!
to start this list off, let's take a look at one of the most amazing games from my childhood, Diddy Kong Racing. Not counting the final boss, there are only 5 bosses in the whole game. Well, what do you expect? It's racing. Out of all the bosses in Diddy Kong Racing, I found Smokey of Dragon Forest to be the most fun and memorable. At the start of the race, Smokey will gain a surprisingly fair head start, unlike Whizpig. For the rest of the race, the two of you race neck and neck while dodging the numerous flame clouds he spews from his mouth. With these, you need to be careful because whether or not you run into them, they remain there throughout the entire race. Now, unlike Whizpig and Bubbler, Smokey isn't too hard or too annoying. He plays fair while actually trying. That's something I really like to see in a boss. Super Mario Sunshine is awesome. The setting is relaxing, the music is great, the visuals are stunning, and the boss battles are awesome. My favorite boss in Super Mario Sunshine is Petey Piranha, the second time you fight him. In this fight, you can see that Petey is happily relaxing and everything's fine. Until you hit him with a water balloon. Once you do this, Petey will slowly take to the skies where he then proceeds to puke sludge all over the village. In order to stop him, you need to watch him carefully and wait until he stops. At this moment, Mario must hit the giant thing with water. This causes him to fall down to the ground. That's where the action truly starts. His main methods of attack are batting his head around, generating tornadoes with his hand, and hurling sludge at you. The only way to beat him is to fill his stomach up with water when he tries to upchuck sludge. With the absurd concentration of water within his stomach, Petey will lose his balance and won't be able to do anything. So you ground pound his protruding stomach to damage him. Repeat this process 2 more times, and you emerge triumphant. What an awesome fight. Nitros for Bomberman Hero is a fun example of how serious brainwashing can be. Nitros is a bomber trainee that was brainwashed by Bagular for evil purposes. Throughout the whole game, you fight him 5 times. The first time, he's pathetically easy. The third and fourth time, a little harder, but still pretty easy. But then, the 5th time. When you enter Garadin for the first time, he immediately stops to fight you, claiming that there is no messing around. And the fight, I'll be honest, the last fight with him is pretty hard. This time around, Nitros has 3 shield generators that you have to destroy in order to damage him. He also constantly tosses clusters of ice bombs at you. He can send flying discs after you, spread flame geysers all over, and send pillars of ice across the stage in an X pattern. Overall, this fight's really fun. Fair amount of challenge, and the music and stage makes you feel like you're down on the dance floor. I have one question. If he's only a trainee, I wonder how he'd fight if he were trained more. When it comes to the cold, hard truth, the bosses in the Paper Mario series almost never disappoint. Now, believe me when I say that I had a really tough time narrowing it down to just one in the series. But, I ultimately had to choose Bowser from the Thousand Year Door. Throughout the whole game, Bowser has been treated like crap, to the point where it's actually kind of funny. After you defeated the supposed final boss, you are low on health, your items are limited, and your star power is down. And guess who shows up? That's right, you have to fight a total of 3 bosses non-stop. Their total combined HP is 170. That's more than the final boss. You think that's enough? This time, Bowser is really tough. He's able to stomp, bite, and breathe fire on you. The stomp can cause you to lose both your jump and hammer tactics. His bite can poison you, and his fire does high damage and hits both party members. Here's my advice for this fight. Take out Cammy first. She's the healer of the battle, and she heals Bowser and herself a lot. Then you need to attack Bowser like crazy, and use action commands to your advantage. When you manage to beat him, you feel invincible. Alright, I finally beat the game. Now let's rescue Peach. Wait, what? Ocarina of Time may not be my favorite Zelda game, but it does have some pretty great boss battles. And I know what you're thinking, Phantom Ganon, right? Well, no. I never said Phantom Ganon was my absolute favorite boss battle in the game. My favorite boss in Ocarina of Time is... the Baronade. Seriously, just look at that. This thing's size and appearance alone is enough to justify it being awesome. Just the fact that you're fighting a bioelectric sea enemy that shoots concentrated waves of electricity at you has an awesome feeling to it. The battle itself can be pretty challenging at times. To defeat the Baronade, you have to use your boomerang to cut the tentacles that are attached to the ceiling. This will cause it to fall down and relinquish the jellyfish that cover its weak point. Once you take down 1 or 2 jellyfish, the Baronade will start moving again. With the loss of some of the jellyfish, you are now able to use your boomerang to stun him and pummel him for a moment. But be careful, because he's smart enough to hide itself from attack. You repeat this process until he's dead. This battle also gets points because of the way he dies.
Brutality.
Super Smash Bros. Is a series in which you don't really expect any bosses. It's a fighting game. Just something to note. I am not including any of the bosses from Brawl because they just didn't feel all that great to fight. Believe it or not, this next injury is from the original. And no, it's not Master Hand.
Alex, stop it! Get to the point!
Okay, I'll let the announcer tell you.
Metal Mario.
The best word to describe the fight with Metal Mario is unique. For a start, you and Metal Mario are isolated to a single platform in the middle of the Meta Crystal stage. This battle is the only way you can fight on the stage, which just adds to the uniqueness. The second thing to note is Metal Mario himself. Since he's made of metal, he is very hard to send flying. The loud metal footsteps that he makes is a factor that strangely motivates you to keep on fighting. And oh man, the music!